The study that we did involves a series of surveys, and the goal was to identify expert recommended solutions for some of the main threats that are facing wild pollinators. And these include habitat loss, pesticides, non-native species, and disease. The experts also gauged the feasibility of actually implementing those solutions. So, for example, we wanted to know if there were perceived barriers related to things like political will or cost. And lastly, experts identified research priorities that would help them inform action on pollinator conservation that was really grounded in the science.
It's really important that we protect our wild pollinators because there are a number of ecosystem services that they provide. And when I talk about wild pollinators, I'm talking about hundreds and hundreds of different species, bees, butterflies, moths, flies. Protecting a diverse and abundant community of wild pollinators is critical because it makes sure that we have healthy ecosystems. It helps us with our food security, and it will also help us with climate resilience.
So, in terms of some of the top research priorities that experts identified, they really stress the importance of knowing how combinations of pesticides are affecting wild pollinators. And also, we need a lot more basic information about where they are, how their ranges might be shifting as the climate changes, and what their habitat requirements are. A thread that ran through a lot of the comments was the need for a coordinated national scale monitoring effort, which would help us answer some of these questions. And it's something that we don't have yet in Canada. To bring the results to a wider audience, we also created a supporting strategy document that contains recommendations. It's rooted in our study, but we also did a deeper dive into some of the policies that exist in Canada, like what could be changed, maybe new policies that could be adopted to support wild pollinator health.
The most important group of pollinators is actually the bees. We have over 850 species of wild bees. So our pollinator strategy focused on bees. In Canada, we do have some policies at the provincial level that has talked about bee issues, but in general, these have really focused on the honeybee industry, and the honeybee industry uses a European honeybee species, which is brought here and is not native to Canada. So our national pollinator strategy, although there are some things that will benefit managed pollinators, really does focus on conserving wild pollinator species and keeping as many of them around as possible.